Hello and welcome to this video. Today I'm going to be doing a stock analysis on Duolingo. Now, if you don't know what Duolingo is, it is a company that helps you learn languages, and they can help you learn basically every single language in the world. And their business model is that you sign up and then you pay a subscription fee for learning languages. And I believe it is the most used in the world. The only other I know that comes even close is Babbel, but that's not even on the stock exchange. And Duolingo is in every country I have ever seen, and the reason I like Duolingo a lot is because I personally prefer companies that are the best in their sector, and Duolingo just has a way too large market share, so that it doesn't even make sense to compare them to anyone else. At the moment, they have a market share about 80 to 90% in Western Europe and USA, and in the more developed Asian countries, besides from China, I don't believe they're in yet actually. Now that's beside the point. Now, if you take a look at the stock as a whole, you can see that it did have a nice run up here all the way up to 430. This was right after they came out with their stunt where they said that the Duolingo bird had died. You can actually see this is when they said it died, then it tanked a bit, and then everybody was paying attention to the stock because it got so much media attention and it rallied crazy, which is this is just a hype rally, I think, and I think that's the reason we also see this quite hard decline. Now the decline here makes a lot of sense where it sits now. As you can see, it is sitting on a previous support level here at about 3. It was all the way down here in 280, I mean, and now it has rallied a bit since. As you can see, currently it is in 335 right here. This is also a bit of a support line. As you can see, we do have some tops and some bottoms here that would confirm this. So it would also make sense that it stays around here. Now, if we can properly break through these other breakthrough points that are quite small, we have one right here at 370, and of course the all-time high here at 440, which I don't think it is at the moment. Also, the fact that they just didn't beat their earnings, but it was down by 41%, which is insanely high margin to miss it by. Now, previous to that, they have actually been hitting their earnings quite nicely, as you can see, by 38%, beating it by 59%, beating it by 100%. So it is, as you can see, by 500%. So most of the time they beat it quite nicely. Now, as you can see here, it is a quite expensive stock compared to how little the company is. So that is also a thing to be wary of. As you can see, the total volume in it isn't that large compared to other stocks. Now, if you look at the earnings here, see they beat most of them. As you can see, they forecast higher and higher and higher earnings all the time, really. They just had a mishap here, but that happens for every company, of course. Now, they do not pay dividends, which it's quite rare for tech companies like Duolingo to do. Now, the thing I like about Duolingo is actually that there are a tech company that makes quite nice money and quite fast. They were on the stock exchange for the first time in 2020, and as you can see, it only took 3 years for them to make good money, and they increased their margins by 400% almost from 23 to 24, which is insane. And just also look at the revenue streams increasing and increasing and increasing. And this is primarily from subscriptions. I believe there is also in-app purchases, but I don't use the app personally, so I'm not sure. Now, if we take a look at their seasonals, it's a bit up and down. As you see here in 23, we were up 200%. Then in 24, we were up by 50%. 25, they currently in, as you can see, we're just above 3%. As you can see, we both went up to about plus, what is that, plus 35%, and then we went below minus 10%. Then we do see years like 21 and 22 where they were minus 23 and minus 32. But as of course you might know, 22, no one really had any proper stock gains that year. Now the technicals, this is a buy for the day, and for the month it is also a strong buy, and that is given the fact that it is laying on a support line as I showed you right here, and it is rallying quite hardly here. As you can see in the RSI also, we did have this minor mishap here in the RSI where it peaked, not a peak, where it dipped below, and that is because of course they missed the earnings. But besides that, as you can see, it is trading quite highly in the RSI most of the time. So, and they break out quite often. We are in a current breakout in the RSI now, which is also why it's a buy in the technicals. So that is quite nice. And even it's a strong buy for both for summary and moving average, and a buy in the oscillators. It is quite rare that it is so prudent in all these three that it is actually a buy. And of course, this is only the technicals, so they might be lying. Well, this is merely a metric to track the volume and see where would it make sense for the technicals? Because personally, I like to trade with momentum, which means that once the stock firstly gains upward momentum, chances are it's going to increase, as you can see here. Increase, 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 and then once it tanks, it is a bit more often. So that is a typical pattern they have, and I prefer to trade and buy stocks when it is in a upwards pattern, which is why I rely heavily on the technicals myself. Now the analyst rating here is quite decent, I think. The highest one here is at $430, and the lowest one is at 330, which is decent. As you can see, it is only -1%, so given that's the most pessimistic analysis, it's quite decent. The average is, of course, right around 388, which is about 16% from where we are now, which is quite decent. Now, as you can see over here, we have 13 strong buy, 2 buy, and 9 hold. I think it's quite a decent analysis. I really have no finger to point at anything. I think it's quite possible to see it maybe go a bit higher than 380. I think just the fact that it is such a leisure platform that it is, where you simply learn languages, I think chances are people are gonna learn languages more and more and more. So yeah, I think I like their business model quite a lot. I would consider buying into this, but personally, I don't have the capital right now, as I just bought some other stocks. But it is interesting, and I just recently found out they were publicly traded, and I think it's quite funny also because look at their stupid bird logo. Now, as you can see, the annual here forecasting, as you can see, it is quite nice to see them forecasting so much more earnings per share. So I want to see if they can keep it up in 25, mainly because they just missed it recently by, was it 41%. So I want to see them do better than that, which is in May 7th, so in 43 days. If they beat that, I might consider buying some of the stocks. Now, if they like this video, please don't forget to like and subscribe.